So I just got back from seeing Solo, a Star Wars story, and this review will contain spoilers. As always, I like to be able to talk about things in depth. So spoiler warning, don't watch this if you don't want to know things about the movie. I felt like it had elements of this book. I don't know if you've ever read this book, Star Wars: The Corellian Trilogy, but it had a lot of reflection out of this book, I felt, which is a good thing. This is a good book. I don't actually think this book is canon anymore, but they definitely borrowed some concepts and some things out of this book, even though this isn't really a origin story book for Han Solo, but it definitely had a lot of background information that originated with Han Solo in this Solo film. I wasn't really sure what to expect from this because going from my last experience of Episode 8, which, if you don't know, I thought was a disaster and an utter insult to everything Star Wars that we love and know, I didn't have high expectations. I didn't know. I just tried to stay neutral, and I came out very pleasantly surprised, considering that I had my doubts considering the reshoots and the changing of some directors and some people behind the scenes on the film. I was worried that this was going to be a disaster, and my thoughts have been put to the side, and it was not. It was really fun. Really fun. I felt like it was a mix of Indiana Jones, and this was the most Star Wars-y film that's been made so far. More so than Episode 7, more so than way more than Episode 8. More Star Wars-y than even, I would say, Rogue One. If you want to see a Star Wars movie, I think this is a really good film to see, and it does a really good, accurate portrayal, and it felt like Star Wars to me, with something that I didn't feel was in Episode 8 at all. I keep getting distracted because I want to compare everything to Episode 8 because it was such a disastrous film, so I apologize. I was also concerned about the performance of the young actor playing Han Solo, because, you are going against somebody who, Harrison Ford, an iconic actor, a very good actor, and you're going to represent a character that is kind of like almost impossible to match in terms of acting ability. The actor they chose, I always forget the actor's name, does a very solid job of pinpointing Han Solo's character, his personality, and his overall demeanor. I really like the character dynamic that they had with Han Solo, with trying to make him, he wants to be a bad dude, he wants to be a bad guy, he wants to be a smuggler and do bad things, but at the end of the day, he has a kind heart, and he's always gonna screw things up, kind of, because he's the good guy. He may, act harsh and coarse on the outside, but deep down, he's gonna make the right decision. He doesn't want to put people through pain and suffering, and he's not an evil person. And you see him in this film kind of wrestle with that concept. Everybody around him really have no feelings about anything. They just kill in cold blood. Everybody around him thinks the worst, that everybody is out to betray everybody, don't trust anybody, don't feel anything. Every man is out for himself. And, Han Solo's always, kind of been about that. Like, I'm only in it for myself. But deep down, to the core of who Han Solo is, he does have a kind heart, and you get to see that kind of origin of that, and how it reflects later in the original trilogy, which I really appreciated. I love the worlds that they visited, and I love there was a lot of original creatures and new species I'd never seen before. They were not all CGI. Again, I want to stress, this is a Star Wars, it felt Star Warsy, the closest amount of Star Warsy that you can get. Throughout the whole movie, all these new species and characters of just you see in the background, it makes me fascinated. I felt like I was watching A New Hope when they walk into the casino and you see all these crazy creatures and you're like, whoa, that's so cool! I had one of those moments. And it's something that I haven't had in any new Star Wars films that have been made yet. I love the fact that Crimson Dawn is officially, now canon. I think it's always kind of been canon. But one of the biggest things that kind of confused me and kind of surprised me at the same time is I didn't expect Darth Maul to have an appearance in this. And it kind of muddled my brain because I was like, when I saw it, I was like, whoa. And then I'm like, okay, we know, in Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and Star Wars Rebels, Darth Maul survives. He has robotic legs and things like that, which I sit back, I still think it's kind of crazy that they did that, but whatever. It's officially canon. Darth Maul's alive. If you keep up with Star Wars, you know this already. Apparently, he is one of the biggest crime syndicates. And he's running, the Crimson Dawn. You see him in a hologram, his robotic legs and stuff. And it was surprising to me. I didn't expect that. And it muddled my thinking of the timeline. So, Solo, I guess, is taking place after Episode 1, but before A New Hope. I don't know exactly where in the timeline that Solo falls into. I know it's after Episode 1, clearly, but I don't know the time gap in which happens before A New Hope. Is this 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? I don't know. I actually don't know the exact timeline on Star Wars Rebels. So that would probably be around that same time Star Wars Rebels is happening. Han Solo's character is being, developed in terms of who he is as, a smuggler. I love, and I got teary-eyed. I got teary-eyed. I love the scene how Chewbacca and, Han Solo meet, and how that friendship, that bond comes together. I always wanted to see that, and we finally get to see that. Get to see how Han ran the Kessel Run. And I was always of the belief that, there are certain things about characters like Han Solo that, he made the Kessel Run. We know this, but we never knew how. I always had the thought that, sometimes you don't need to explain or show things. It's just best to leave things for the characters, and we ask questions, and we don't know about how they did it, but we just know that they did it, which makes them cool. And I still think that, but nonetheless, they still made the explaining of how he did it really, I don't know, it really imaginative. It was really creative. I liked it a lot, and now I know how he made the Kessel Run, which is cool. Overall, Solo: A Star Wars Story is worth going to see. And I really hope it does well in the theaters, because apparently they're going to there's a lot of subtle hints in this movie. There was mention of Jabba, not directly, but there's a couple mentions of Jabba. There's mention of Bosk. And also announced today was, a new Boba Fett movie by James Mangold, guy who directed Logan. There's going to be 2 more solo movies with Han Solo, so we're going to have a trilogy. And honestly, if the same people are involved with making this first one, I think it could be pretty successful. I like the character Han. I've always liked the character Han Solo. And I think this movie does a really good job of showcasing who Han Solo is and how he got into the job and the character, and overall sets up a really good understanding of who the character is for the original trilogy. I can't stress that enough. So, I don't really give films a rating score, but if you like Star Wars and you like Han Solo, go see this. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. And I really don't think you could have found a better actor to try to achieve the acting performance of Han Solo as such with Harrison Ford. I think the person they chose is the best we could possibly get out of an actor to be like a Han Solo, like a Harrison Ford. It was just, he did the best job he possibly could, and it came out pretty well. As always, the next Star Wars film that's out, I will be reviewing it. Thanks for watching this video, and have a great rest of your Thursday.